What is going on, everybody? This is episode 401 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football, and we made it over the hump. We made it to over 400 episodes. It's a pretty big deal for me. I want to thank everybody who submitted questions and gave, their feedback. People who shared the episode and people who came through to watch and liked the episode from here all the way to the podcast avenues. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for the support. And today we are jumping back to the Atlanta Falcons. We talked a lot of Georgia Southern lately with the the press conferences at the Sun Belt Media Day and all the other things that are going on over there. I want to say this before I jump back to the Atlanta Falcons. There's a lot of things going on in Statesboro with the team and the facilities and for Georgia Southern and on their campus. It's going to be a really exciting year for Georgia Southern. I can't wait to really talk about it, but just be, patient and just know that it's going to be an exciting time in Statesboro. But I mean, the transformation and the transition is something really huge. Now, over here, we talk about Atlanta Falcons football and Georgia Southern football. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple and Google Podcasts. And we're going to talk about training camp, what's been going on. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions from the first day and anything else behind that. Talk about a signing or two. We're going to also talk about what's going on with the players since they've been reporting to training camp. And it's pretty simple. I'm going to keep it as brief as possible, but I'm going to give you as much of information that I can. As of right now, and I think this is going to be set in stone, Mariota is the starter. He's been starting with the first team, with the first team and everything. It kind of been expected at the end of the day. Desmond Ridder looks like the guy that's going to be a flash in the pan that's going to, ignite the team at some point. I kind of thought that he was going to be the guy that, really take the helm and take the lead, but Mariota's just ahead of him. It happens with seniority and familiarity. So with Mariota's being, ahead of the game, in some cases I feel like we're in good hands, but at the same time, I really want to see what Ridder does. So I think we're going to see what he can do in the preseason or whatever the case may be. But with that being said, it's basically, that's what it is. Mariota is going to be the starter, and you got Desmond Ridder is going to be the backup. So pretty cool. We may get another quarterback. I'm not really sure, but it looks like it's just going to be those two. Now, as far as our former quarterback, Felipe Franks, it looks like he's going to be the tight end for the most part, but he has been taking some, he said he will be taking reps at quarterback throughout the weeks of practice or whatever the case may be, but it looks like at the end of the day, he may end up, being more on the tight end side of things. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how that's going to happen, because he's been rotating with the tight ends, a lot ever since I talked about it, and it was noted that he was going to be moving over to that position. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but I would like to see him at quarterback more likely than tight end, because we did, get more depth on the tight end with the tight end situation. So I would like to see it, but as of right now, he's kind of like back and forth, but he's been doing a lot with the tight end. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. As far as Deion Jones is out there, for training camp, which is really cool, because you didn't know how that was going to play out, because with him being on the PUP list, didn't know he was going to be able to, actually practice or be out there. It was really, something to think about. But they said his recovery is going along just well. The fact that he's on the PUP list now, that means he can come back at any time. So we're not really worrying about, how long is he going to be out for the season or whatever the case may be. Because if it was in season, it would have been a while before he can come back, if any. I think it's like 6 games or something like that. But since it's happened prior, prior to training camp, he can come back at any time. So that's really cool to know about as well. As far as the offensive line, Drew Dahlman took majority of the first team reps. So that's pretty cool to see how that's going to be playing out, because the offensive line is clearly our Achilles heel on this team. Especially, I think it's what I want to say it's the left side or it could be the right side. But I think it's more of the left side because that's where Jalen Mayfield mostly was. And it just hasn't worked out is the way that we want it to. But with him and even with Caleb McGarry, he's on the opposite side. So like, really, the offensive line in general is kind of like a liability. We want to have those guys intact so we can have those our quarterback upright and actually able to run the ball a little bit. So, but with Dahlman, look like they're going to be rotating with Dahlman and Matt Hennessy for a while with the first team and see how that plays out. I mean, I'm pretty sure around about week number 2 of the preseason, you're kind of going to know how that's going to, solidify itself, and definitely by week 1. So that's pretty good. Offensive line competition in general, Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews, they're pretty much, I'm looking at it here. It says their spots are basically up for grabs, like all the spots. So with all the other guys who have come in, like Elijah Wilkinson and Jermaine Ifedi, Ifedi Jermaine, those guys are going to be competing for a position. So that just goes to show you that there is some issue at offensive line that we could actually see take place to solidify and make that make that line better. So what are the guys that we know now is not set in stone. We still have other guys who can't come in, but throughout the off season, it's actually going to put some pressure on the guys who are already here. If anything, I think it was Chris Lindstrom. I think he was the one that actually did very well throughout the season. And between him and Jake Matthews, I want to say every spot is up for grabs, but I will say, those two guys are pretty much solidified because between Matthews and Lindstrom, they were the ones that was the most consistent and most effective. And, I think I said a few minutes ago that every spot is up for grabs. But if I really think about it, I think those two guys are really going to be the ones that's going to be on the offensive line no matter what. I think they pretty much done everything they had to do for the last year or so to keep their job pretty much secured. Now, Caleb McGarry, you also have what's his name? I just said his name. Jalen Mayfield. He's going to be really having the spotlight on him. Matt Hennessy, Drew Dahlman, those guys are going to be looked at as well. So that's why you have the Wilkinsons and the Jermaines come in to actually see what they can do. So for the most part, the first day of training camp was not much of anything that I know of that stood out. I know they said that I know there was a few reports that saying that not Felipe Franks, oh my God, Marcus Mariota looked really, really good. I think at one point he was like 15-15 at one point. So that's really cool to see. How does that translate to the actual game? It doesn't really mean nothing. I mean, training camp is training camp. You have to continue to get these reps in and practice and do what you have to do to execute at a high level. So this is what we're going to see these guys actually do really big things. I think this team is going to shock a lot of people. I think Kyle Pitts was one of the ones like saying that right along the same lines of Zacchaeus. He's was saying that this team could be a playoff team. They could do some really good things. And I believe that. At the end of the day, I think I really believe that if this team could just play the football and execute the way that they can, I think they'll be fine. I think a lot of our, fan base really worry about what the other teams are doing. And that never helps. It never helps when you're worrying about what the other teams are doing. You have to worry about what you can do against them. And that's the most important thing. Really, also another thing that was talked about was depth. I mean, I think depth is always a really good thing because you want to have enough guys to come in to compete, and iron sharpens iron. You want guys to continuously get better and put in for that, that starting position. So when you have guys that are we have like 3 or 4 running backs that look like they can do something. A Cordell Patterson, a Damian Williams, Tyler Algier, Quadri Allison, Avery Williams, Caleb Huntley, and then you have all the cornerbacks that are coming in that are actually going to be, vying for a spot as well. It's too many of those guys I can't name off the top of my head. I know, AJ Terrell, obviously. You also have Casey Hayward, Isaiah Oliver, and Darren Hall. I think Darren Hall is still Darren Hall. You have all those guys that are Dwayne Harmon is another defensive back. Uh, Richie Grant is just another safety. You got all these guys that are going to be competing for some type of position on the field. So that is something that we really want to continue to watch, because these guys are actually going to be stepping up and doing what they have to do. Also, speaking of safeties and defensive backs, the Falcons did sign a free agent. We got Brandon Linus from the Packers, so he's going to be coming in at some point to actually be an asset to the team. So that's really cool at the end of the day. So when you're looking at a situation with more guys coming in during training camp to actually be somewhat of an asset, that's really cool. Also, there's been other rumblings with other signings. I want to try to get to them real quick before I get out of here. Let's see. I want to see if it's one, because there was a couple of guys from the 49ers. Well, one guy from the 49ers that was signed. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they bought him in. I don't know if he's really signed, but they bought him in just to see what he can do. And that's going to be really cool as well, because it's always you want to get more, depth. I don't know. Ebikete reflects on the first day of training camp, learning from experienced edge rushers. Ebikete, I don't have much to say about him as well. I was just looking at the AtlantaFalcons.com right here, and it's not much to say. I just want to see him to continue to have fun and actually go through the motions of learning to be a good edge rusher. That's really the main thing. With him, Lorenzo Carter, and others, I think we're going to be able to, do some things against other offensive lines. And I want to see how that all plays out. So I'm really, really interested to see how this goes, because I'm here for all of this. I'm here for all of this. I want to see how everything plays out and how things are going to be moving and shaking. I wasn't able to honestly focus all the way on training camp like I wanted to, due to the fact that I've been doing, the whole Q&A on the last episode and stuff. So, but looking at my thoughts from what I see so far, looks like we're going to be in pretty good, shape. It's just one day, but it is what it is. Also, the 49ers, the defensive tackle, that's what it was. Darren Daniels was the guy that was actually picked up. So that's pretty cool. We actually was able to get him here. And also, I want to say, what else I wanted to say? What else that I think it was something that not Braylon Edwards, but Brian Edwards said about Drake London. I think he said something along the lines that he feels that Drake London is somewhat like Mike Evans, but more nimble or something like that. I can't find the story, but I think that's pretty interesting what he said. So, but nevertheless, I don't want to continue to ramble, but I really, from what I see, what my thoughts and opinions are, I don't have anything to say like, oh man, I'm really excited. It just seems like it was par for the course. And, day 2 has been taking place as well. But from the first day, from what I see, is like, it looks like they're just putting in work. And that's what they're supposed to do. Nothing really stands out to me. It look like they're going through the motions. And a lot of things that were expected look like that's what's happened with the Mariota situation, Felipe Franks, or whatever the case may be, Desmond Ridder. The competition is there. They're bringing in guys. They brought in a safety. They brought in a defensive tackle. And it's just going to continue to move forward. So there's not much here, guys. Not much to be excited about. We just want to see if this guy's going to continue to execute and be at a really high level of playing football. Because this is a transition that's really, different. We have a new quarterback in the year 2 of Arthur Smith's scheme is being implemented. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much they're going to able to put things together. So I'm going to continue to be here for it, and if anything significant happens, we're going to continue to report on it and talk about it, give commentary about it. But as of right now, it's business as usual, status quo. Nothing really stands out to say, oh man, what's going on? I just want to see these guys get, through training camp healthy and get into preseason and start really trying to win some football games. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Episode 401. I gave you my first day of training camp thoughts. They're already going into day 2 and so on and so on. I like what I see so far. It look like nothing is really standing out, but it's nothing bad either. So I hope they just continue to do the best they can to be the best on the field. You know, we have an uphill battle, and hopefully we'll be able to do something with it. Also, you can find this podcast on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And I want to thank you guys again for the support. Don't want to hold you guys too much longer, especially on a Friday like this. You guys take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. Do something nice for yourself and or others. And I will be back on Monday unless some wild or crazy story that's worth mentioning, I will, pop in and I'll give my 2 cents on them. All right, y'all. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Peace.